Hey, what's going on guys? Welcome back. We're here at my main settlement on Spectacle Island, and I really did want to do a build guide here, but I wasn't too sure how a high-tech facility would appeal to the Fallout community, and also I was running out on time. So what I'm going to do is take you guys for a tour through, hopefully give you guys some new ideas, and you know what, if I get enough likes, maybe I'll make a build guide down the track. So just keep in mind, this was once a very beautiful settlement. However, I did have to simplify it and reduce a few things just for the purposes of optimizing the performance, such as frame rate issues and such. So what we have here is, this is one of our main entrances. Okay, this is the main tower. This is where the penthouse is, the trophy room and everything. Okay, so as we go up here, I have one guard. And of course, you need the Automatron DLC for some of these things. And then just a couple of heavy laser turrets on the outside just in case, and then up the stairway I have a couple more turrets as extra added defenses, okay, because right up the stairway here is the trophy room. Okay, now this is just for your bobbleheads and stuff like that at the moment, but pretty soon with the Wasteland Workshop DLC, which should add extra added trophies, and well, we don't know what else it's going to add to it. So I think this is pretty important for now, and you know, later down the track we can decide whether it is or not. So up here is the penthouse, which is not finished. Unfortunately, there's a lot of things I've just left pretty bare for now because I'm waiting for the DLC to roll out, and then I can see what else I can do to it. So here we have the skywalks, and they just run from each individual tower and just kind of keeps your settlers off the ground, adds a little more security. Okay, and this all goes to one area, which is the arena. Okay, now obviously when the Wasteland Workshop DLC comes out, this will be practical. For now, I've just created an area for it. I think I can do something pretty cool here once it rolls out. I'm not entirely sure how actually entertaining this will be. However, there are a lot of prefabs, new prefabs coming out, so you know, I'm really excited about it, really looking forward to it. And I think I really like the idea of watching the battles from above as well. So moving along, we have the two gen pop towers on either side, left and right. Okay, it's just general population where basically the crew's quarters and all that are. And on one side I have the bar, and on the other side I have the kitchen / dining setup. The bar is just lightly decorated. You really don't need to go all out here. The more you decorate, the more prefabs you use, the more everything that you use, the worse performance gets, okay, especially on console. You just want to ensure that everything's practical and that your settlers can get to where they need to get to. Okay, so we just got our crew's quarters here, which has beds and stuff like that, a little leisure area. Okay, and down the very bottom I have just some more beds here as well, and one main entrance. This tower has its own entrance, the other one doesn't, because this one is much lower. Now at the entrance I always make sure they're heavily guarded, so I have all my settlers are outfitted in the best heavy combat armor. However, this guy has the full package. Okay, so he's just got your ballistic weave mods and, you know, fully upgraded heavy combat armor, a couple of heavy laser turrets behind him, and this is just to ensure that nothing gets into the buildings. Of course you can just put 100 turrets there and it's going to be effective. However, you just have to remember that when you're building really big settlements, you want to reduce the amount of turrets and prefabs and just whatever you can really, otherwise the frame rate just gets really clunky and just becomes way too much to deal with. So we're just going to go ahead and we're just going to head up the back here, and basically this just takes us to the market area. Okay, this is our rear entrance, I guess, which is the second main entrance, and there's no guard here, just a bunch of turrets. I haven't had any real heavy resistance out the back here, so the turrets seem to be sufficient enough. Now you see through here we just have our towers either side. Around the right here is the market area. Okay, now this is very important if you have water purification plants. Okay, as soon as the water gets purified and gets sent to the workshop, you can offload all of your water to merchants close by. So you don't need any more than 5 here. Once you've exhausted one particular workshop, you've exhausted the caps on every other workshop of the same type. So it's really handy to have your workshop really close by to your merchants, okay, especially if you're carrying more than your capacity. You know, everything's still in walking distance. Now I've outfitted all my merchants in heavy combat armor as well. It's very handy to really armor up all of your settlers to keep them extra safe. Now around the back here I have the caravan outpost. This just allows an extra merchant to come in and offload more purified waters or just basically extra supplies. Once again, nothing fancy here. I try not to go too over the top, just mainly for that frame rate. So if we go at the back here, and this is another very important thing for a settlement, and it's a purification plant. Okay, so I've just built little purification pools. You don't need to build like 1,000 of these. I can assure you that even 6 to 8 purifiers are more than enough to make a steady income. Just make sure that you do actually guard your purifiers really well, because I have had synthetics that have actually shut down my purifiers and I haven't even realized for probably weeks later. So it is really important to protect your purifiers, even though you might not think so. So up here I have the sniper towers or sniper nests, and they are actually pretty effective. I've got one on each wall and they are man towers, so we'll show you a little bit more about that when we get up top. Back at the main entrance from the very start here, I have my sort of farming cropping area. Okay, now this doesn't need to be really big, just has to be really well guarded. So I've basically used the already made prefab on Spectacle Island here, because it's a kind of nursery slash barn sort of area, which kind of went really well with the cropping area itself. So I've just got my turrets at the front here, and all this a little bit bare at the moment. Like I said, you know, I'm saving a lot of the finishing touches for when the DLC comes out. So we have the barn here, and then around the back here is a little cropping area where basically I think I have enough food here to feed about 30 people, which is overkill. I only have 18 settlers and I think 4 robots, so it's more than adequate. And you might notice here, even my farmers are outfitted with heavy combat armor and fully upgraded laser rifles, just for their own protection. You can't always rely on the turrets or your defenses. Sometimes your settlers need to hold their own. So back up here in the arena, I'm just going to point out just a few more things, which would be my guards. Okay, it's always handy to use settlers as guards, okay, because you may as well give them a job. They're not really doing much else anyway. So up here I have my snipers, which, you know, I outfitted with the I think it's Shadow heavy combat armor, and the boss officer's uniform. This is just my way of telling which guard is which, okay, and these are my sniper guys, so they're outfitted with fully upgraded Gauss rifles, and yeah, they do a pretty good job from up here, especially combined with the unmanned towers right across from them. So and you know, I have I think 4 sniper nests, so 1 on each wall, and you know, they pretty much just guard their post all day, pretty much. Up here is the heavy artillery, so these are kind of the same, only they're outfitted a little differently with just full boss armor, and you know, just some gas masks and stuff like that, which are probably pretty irrelevant. I don't even know if your settlers actually do take radiation damage, but if they do, then I'm sure they'll thank me in the next radiation storm. So back in the middle here I have my, it's kind of like a robotics facility, and this is just basically one big workshop. Okay, so I've got my, you know, little workshop areas and the robotics workshop, and I also combined all my heavy armors in here as well. Well, not all of them, but just 4 of the main ones that I use, and this kind of just puts everything in one place and just gives me one place to do everything. There's not a lot of room up here, so yeah, I mean, you don't want to be building like 5 or 6 robots up here. I'd work one at a time, and this also allowed me to make some little storage rooms in here by just simply using the steel door prefab and then just putting a wall behind it. You know, just handy for extra storage, weapons, armor, or whatever's workshop related. So that's, yeah, pretty much it up here. If I go back down, I'll just point out another thing, and like, if you plan on building something like this, the trouble you're gonna have is just working out which kind of skywalk goes which way. So One thing I always remember is my main entrances are the ones that run under the stairways. Okay, now the front entrance obviously is the master tower, so I've got the master kind of paintings, and at the back here, which is the market, I have the little sales signs, and then in this gen pop tower is the bar, so I've got the little liquor sign, and on the other side here basically really only a hot dog sign, which kind of just tells me that the kitchen's this way. It's really not that hard to remember. I mean, nowadays I kind of just run through everywhere without even looking at the signs. So here I have another little leisure area, and look, sometimes you will find that there are areas that you can't flatten completely, so you'll have unleveled terrain. It's always best to take advantage of it, maybe turn it into a little garden feature like I've done just here. And finally, up the very top of each gen pop tower is a kind of generated storage area, and this is just to power the settlement, of course. And I think I have about 12 or so in each room, and I just run the power down and across the skywalks. And so there you go, peeps. A lot of people did ask me about my main settlement and stuff like that, so unfortunately I couldn't make a build in time for the DLC, so hopefully I can build it down track if people are interested. Of course it's going to be a lot better. There's going to be a lot more new content from the DLC. It's unfortunate that I had to get rid of some of the really cool designs in this settlement and some of the, you know, curved walls and structures and stuff. It was just chewing up way too much performance. But nonetheless, this is just how I'm getting ready for the new DLC. It's a brief look at my main settlement. I hope you guys got some ideas here, and if you did, just please leave a like for me. This is just one way of building on Spectacle Island's unleveled terrain, and I really hope you guys like it. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys next time.